Welcome to today's news update. In recent developments, China has emerged as a key player in the peace talks between Saudi Arabia and Iran, two major powers in the Middle East. For the past 7 years, relations between the two countries have been frozen, with tensions running high due to regional conflicts and disagreements over oil production. However, there are now hopes that the situation could change, with peace talks facilitated by China resulting in a possible thawing of relations. The potential impact of resumed relations between Saudi Arabia and Iran cannot be underestimated, as it could have far-reaching implications for regional stability, the global economy, and international relations. The two countries are major players in the oil market, and a reduction in tensions could help stabilize global oil prices. Furthermore, a peaceful resolution could also lead to greater cooperation on regional issues such as the conflict in Yemen, where both countries support opposing sides. The involvement of China in these peace talks is significant, as it highlights China's growing role in global diplomacy and its willingness to take on a more active role in resolving international conflicts. As the world's second-largest economy and a major player in the Middle East, China has a vested interest in promoting stability in the region and maintaining good relations with both Saudi Arabia and Iran. China's involvement in the recent peace talks between Saudi Arabia and Iran has been significant. While the United States had previously played a major role in the region, its position as a neutral mediator was compromised due to its close ties with Saudi Arabia. China, on the other hand, was seen as a more neutral party, with its long-standing ties with both countries. China has been actively promoting a policy of non-interference in the region and has expressed its willingness to mediate in the conflict. Its approach is based on the principle of mutual respect and the pursuit of common development. The Chinese government has emphasized the importance of dialogue and has called on all parties to resolve their differences through peaceful means. China's involvement in the peace talks between Saudi Arabia and Iran comes at a time when the region is facing increasing instability and tension. The 7-year freeze in relations between the two countries has had a significant impact on the region, leading to proxy wars and fueling sectarian tensions. The potential resumption of relations between the two countries could have a positive impact on the region, leading to greater stability and security. Overall, China's role in mediating the conflict between Saudi Arabia and Iran has been seen as a positive development. Its approach of promoting dialogue and non-interference has been welcomed by both countries, and its position as a more neutral mediator has helped to build trust between the parties. As the peace talks continue, China's involvement will likely remain a key factor in the region's future stability and security. The involvement of China in the recent peace talks between Saudi Arabia and Iran is a significant development, not just for the Middle East but also for the U.S. China relationship. China's mediation of the conflict was seen as a more neutral party compared to the United States, which has traditionally sided with Saudi Arabia. This move has implications for the U.S. China relationship, and it further widens the rift between the two nations. The U.S. China relationship has been strained for several years, with tensions increasing over issues such as trade, technology, and human rights. China's involvement in the Middle East adds another layer of complexity to this relationship. The United States has historically been a dominant force in the Middle East and has sought to maintain its influence in the region. However, with China now playing a more prominent role in mediating the conflict, the United States may feel threatened. Furthermore, China's involvement in the Middle East could also have economic implications for the United States. Saudi Arabia and Iran are major players in the global oil market, and any changes in their relationship could have significant impacts on the price of oil. China, as the world's largest importer of oil, could potentially benefit from improved relations between the two countries, while the United States, as a major producer of oil, may see a negative impact on its economy. In conclusion, China's involvement in mediating the conflict between Saudi Arabia and Iran is a significant development that has implications for the U.S. China relationship. While the move is seen as a step towards peace in the Middle East, it further widens the rift between the two nations and adds another layer of complexity to their already strained relationship. According to analysts in Washington, Saudi Arabia's decision to pursue peace talks with Iran with the help of China is being seen as a snub towards the Biden administration. Some experts suggest that this move by Saudi Arabia could be seen as a way to assert their independence and avoid being seen as a mere puppet of the United States in the region. This development comes at a time when the Biden administration has been trying to re-engage with Iran to revive the nuclear deal, which was abandoned by the previous administration. Some experts suggest that Saudi Arabia's move to seek help from China instead of the United States could be seen as a message to the Biden administration that Saudi Arabia is not willing to follow the U.S. lead in the region. However, other analysts suggest that this move could also be an opportunity for the Biden administration to rethink their approach to the Middle East and to re-engage with Saudi Arabia in a more productive way. This could involve finding new ways to work with China on common interests in the region, while also maintaining close ties with Saudi Arabia and other key U.S. allies in the region. Overall, the reactions from analysts in Washington have been mixed, with some viewing this move by Saudi Arabia as a setback for U.S. influence in the region, while others see it as an opportunity for the Biden administration to rethink its approach and engage with all parties involved in the region. China's increased political role in the Middle East has several potential implications for the United States. Firstly, China's involvement in the peace talks between Saudi Arabia and Iran demonstrates its growing influence in the region, which could have an impact on U.S. interests in the region. China's increasing political role in the Middle East is also tied to its economic interests in the region, particularly in the energy sector. As China is the world's largest importer of oil, it is seeking to secure its energy supplies from the Middle East. This could pose a challenge to U.S. energy interests in the region, as China could potentially gain greater control over oil resources. Additionally, China's growing presence in the region has raised concerns about national security implications for the United States. The Chinese government has been accused of using its investments and economic partnerships to gain access to sensitive information, and its growing presence in the Middle East could allow it to gain greater access to U.S. intelligence and military operations in the region. Overall, China's increased political role in the Middle East has significant implications for U.S. interests in the region. The United States will need to carefully consider how to respond to China's growing presence, and balance its own economic, energy, and national security interests with those of China. China's increased political role in the Middle East does not come without its own set of challenges and potential pitfalls. One of the major challenges that China faces is maintaining its neutrality in the region, given its growing economic and strategic interests in the area. As China becomes more involved in the Middle East, it risks being dragged into regional conflicts that it may not be able to resolve. For example, in its attempts to maintain its economic and energy ties with both Saudi Arabia and Iran, China may find itself in a difficult position if tensions between the two countries escalate once again. In such a scenario, China may be forced to take sides, which could have negative implications for its relations with one or both of these countries. Furthermore, China's increased political role in the Middle East may also invite pushback from the United States, which sees the region as its traditional sphere of influence. The U.S. may view China's growing influence in the region as a threat to its own interests and could take measures to counterbalance it, such as increasing its military presence or forming alliances with other regional powers. Finally, as China becomes more involved in the Middle East, it may also face security risks. For example, Chinese investments in the region could become targets for extremist groups, as has already been the case with the attacks on Chinese workers and projects in Pakistan. Overall, while China's increased political role in the Middle East has the potential to benefit its economic and strategic interests, it also poses significant challenges and risks. It remains to be seen how China will navigate these challenges and defend its interests in the region in the coming years. While the involvement of China in the recent peace talks between Saudi Arabia and Iran is seen as a positive development, it is important to note that there are still many challenges to overcome before a lasting peace can be achieved in the region. The conflict in Yemen, for instance, is still ongoing, and the humanitarian situation there remains dire. However, the de-escalation of tensions between Saudi Arabia and Iran could potentially lead to a reduction in regional instability and violence. It could also help to reduce the potential for wider conflict and provide an opportunity for countries in the region to work together on common challenges such as climate change, energy security, and economic development. At the same time, it is important to recognize that the involvement of external powers like China in the region could also have its own challenges. For example, there are concerns that China's increasing influence in the Middle East could come at the expense of U.S. interests and influence in the region. Additionally, China may face challenges in balancing its interests in the region while maintaining its neutrality and avoiding being drawn into regional conflicts. Overall, while the recent peace talks between Saudi Arabia and Iran are a positive development, it is important to approach the situation with a cautious optimism and continue to work towards a more stable and peaceful Middle East. In conclusion, China's involvement in mediating the conflict between Saudi Arabia and Iran is a significant development in the Middle East. It highlights China's growing political influence and its potential to act as a mediator in global conflicts. However, this move also poses challenges for China, as it must balance its neutrality with its own interests in the region. The snub by Saudi Arabia towards the Biden administration also underscores the growing rift between the United States and China. As China continues to play a more prominent role in the Middle East, it could have implications for U.S. commercial, energy, and national security interests. Nevertheless, there is hope that this move could lead to de-escalation and peace in the region, particularly in Yemen. It is important to acknowledge the potential benefits of peace, while also recognizing the complexities and challenges involved. As always, we encourage viewers to share their thoughts and opinions on this topic and engage in a healthy debate on the subject. Thank you for watching.